It's the final countdown. The finale of the arrows. The bottom, the right, top, and bottom arrows. So then we'll be done with that for this week. Then I'll post my resources for the gates and the channels. And then we're done with that part. And then we got profiles. I think the profile is going to be last. So I switched a couple things around the order of things because it just makes it easier for me. But yeah. So let's get into this. All right. So the bottom right arrows, looking at this, it would be on this side of your chart. All right. Hopefully it's going to be flipped so it looks the right way. I don't know. But, look at your own chart. This is the right side of my paper, the black side. All right, so the top right arrow is, if it's facing left here, this is about awareness. So really, are we big picture people, or are we, I was going to say little picture, or are we detail oriented people when it comes down to learning? So left facing, if you have that at the top right arrow, details, specifics, and getting very, very intricate with how you take in information is what works best for you. So you're the type of person that could be very traditional in the way that you learn, like learning by the books can be very helpful for you, or having like a very specific tutorial of how to do certain things, right? And how you retain information or how you recall information. But your brain retains information the best when you dive in deeply and really immerse yourself with the facts. And your memory also functions in that way, where you are the type of person that can recall details very easily. Now, you may not remember like the grand premise of what happened necessarily, but you can remember like certain dates and times and certain like people that were there. Even if you leave out like big chunks, you're like, but this specific thing did happen, and this happened, and this happened. So that's how you can do it. Or you're good at like pinpointing or focusing on specific things to learn. So focusing on learning piece by piece on what is right in front of you can help you a lot. And this is something that can kind of conflict with the digestion side of things, because if you have a right facing arrow for digestion, which is how you how you take in things, and then you have a left facing for awareness, it can be like a little bit of a confliction with like absorbing things in like specific ways, but also like non-specific ways. So that's going to be where the experimentation part comes in for you, where you have to try and see like in which ways are you better with like the details of things versus other ways. Like some things you might do better with details, like learning new skills. Other things you may feel better by just observing first, or learning like the overall theme of it. But learning like by the book, like I said, step by step is what can work best for you, or going in a certain order that makes sense, not like just all over the place. And then it's okay to have blinders on while you work towards whatever you're trying to accomplish, and cancel out the noise. So that's if you have left facing for the top right arrow, you're more detail oriented versus big picture oriented. Now, if you have a right pointing right at your top right arrow, right facing is big picture. I'm big picture oriented, which I was actually pretty surprised about, because I have mostly all right facing. So, that means I'm more of a feminine energy type of person with how I approach life, or how I should be approaching life, is a more like feminine, fluid, or more passive kind of way. The only left thing I have is my digestion. So it can be a little conflicting there. But I think I kind of figured out how it works for me. I'm still testing it out. But if you have a right facing arrow and you're top right, you're a big picture oriented person. So big picture learning is how you typically approach things, or how you should approach things to understand them better. If you're not understanding a concept or a lesson, like by reading by the book or going step by step, the best thing to do is to stop trying to focus on all the small details. So working from the outside in versus the inside out. So it's like some people would prefer, okay, I'm going to go over all of the intricate basics of the system or whatever I'm trying to learn, versus like you could probably pull a couple different parts from a couple different places of a thing or a system, and it just clicks. That's kind of how I learned human design. That's how I learned tarot. That's how I learned astrology. I'm not starting with the most detailed part. Like, I didn't go straight for the houses. That was like the last thing I learned. I started very broad, sun, moon, rising, or just overall the planets, and then I shrunk down. So you can try to do like that. So zooming out to see things as a whole is better for you to learn to start, and then, get smaller and smaller and smaller, and approach learning in a fluid and more free flowing way, not needing to get very detailed or rigid with the way you take in information. So like doing things step by step all the time, or, being like, okay, I'm going to write out a list of things that I'm going to learn in this way, in this order. No. You can skip around. You can, like, in books, it may be hard for you to read a book straight through. I know for me it's hard. Sometimes I like to skip around or read different chapters, and then I can get an idea of the whole concept of it. So that's how you're meant to take in information. And you have a gift for seeing the bigger picture and general themes that connect in a way that not everyone else can. And that is something that I definitely have for myself. And I wasn't always aware of that's kind of a gift. And a lot of people aren't able to see the bigger picture of things a lot of the time, especially me. I'm a Virgo. I don't have any Sagittarius placements where I don't always see the broader side of things. But when I talk to people or I explain things to people, they're like, I love the way you explain things. You break it down. It makes sense. And I guess that's because I can see it from a lot of different angles, not just like focusing on one part of it. I'm like, yeah, this is what it's all saying or what it all means. And then I can teach you. So I guess that is a gift. But yeah, connecting those themes and pulling things from different places that is not so one perspective oriented is a gift if you have this. But even if you learn lessons, you can take out bits of information to form a bigger picture or stories to help others understand things. And letting go of the traditional methods of education and learning things in a way that takes in all angles and lets you create meaning and insight out of it. So what clicked for me with that is like, learning things in a traditional way, like just reading books and just, studying things online may not be the best with you. Like, that's why I gravitated towards tarot, because I could easily like interpret or intuitively figure out and create a bigger picture or story based on what the cards are saying. And not everybody can do that. So learning tarot, astrology, Reiki, some type of other system where it's not traditional learning, or, what other ways you can learn, like looking up non-traditional or unorthodox ways of learning, can be something that you should consider if you're like have a hard time with school or learning in the way everybody else learns. Check to see if you have that arrow turning right. But yeah, you may not do that well with textbook method learning. Okay. Sure. Now the last part of this is if we go here and we go to the bottom left arrow. Yeah, I keep saying left, ignore that. The bottom right arrow pointing left. Excuse me if I mess up any of the words. Y'all know what I mean. Bottom right arrow pointing left. So this part is the part that everybody gets fascinated with. And this is like the main part of the arrows that people hear about first or learn about first, which is about manifestation. And this is a very significant arrow. I feel like if you don't take anything else from any of the other arrows, take it from this arrow, because this is very significant for how you best attract things into your life, and how if you should be more proactive in doing that or more fluid and passive in that. So how we set goals or approach manifesting things into our existence. Specific versus non-specific arrow. And I will tag a video that I have done about this in the past. But left facing arrow, you are a specific manifester, like it has here. See, you're a specific manifester. So that means that you are meant to set specific goals for what you want, get very detailed for your manifestations. Everything should be very clear cut. No room for imagination, really. And releasing any shame or judgment you have about being incredibly specific about what you want in life, because other people may criticize you, be like, oh, you're too picky, oh, you're too this, you have too high standards. But this is what works for you, and if you wean off of that, it may give you something that you don't want. So if you usually take a generalized or neutral approach to your manifestations and they haven't been happening, try being more specific. Most people, when I tell them, oh, you're a specific manifester, they're like, oh, I never was specific in my life, or I barely am specific, or they don't really know what they want. So that's very telling. If they're like, I don't know, then you need to know. You need to get more specific about what you want. Or you need to be more proactive in doing things with your type and authority to help you get there. So making plans and spelling out your goals and saying them out loud like a manifester will help them come to you. So don't be afraid of speaking your crystal clear intentions out there. Incorporating strategy and using business plans and specific goal setting will be beneficial to you. So it's like for generators, having multiple like specific lists that you can have, or lists that are exciting to you, is important, and waiting for something to respond to that's like, oh, I think this is like very similar to my list, and then going towards that. Projectors, writing out specific invitations that you would want to gain from other people, or how specific recognition would look like to you. Manifestors, this can be about you initiating something and how you want it to go exactly, and manifesting you getting the courage or you having the energy to do that. Reflectors, this can be you writing out specific intentions for whatever community you want to be around, or where you want to move in life, or how you want to be seen, stuff like that. So you're essentially making a script or a list of everything you desire and being very proactive in that list. And you can also tweak your list. I said tweak and list together. Twist your list as you need to, or make multiple lists. But you also want to make sure you have a plan of action about how you're going to accomplish those goals. So, there's logic in there as well. Now, finally, right facing arrow here on the right, bottom right, non-specific manifester. That is me. So I used to manifest very specifically back in the day before I knew. And I feel like I would often get something that was either it was very specific to what I wanted, but at the same time there was always something wrong with it. Like it wasn't ever right. It was never like what I needed, or I would get so obsessive about it because I'm like, but I wrote it on this list and it seems like it's perfect, and it never was. And I would get so stuck on it. But our energy is not meant for specifics. Like we're meant to have a general idea about what we want, and the universe will bring us that or something better there. So the details or goals or details of your goals or your plans aren't necessary for you to have, which is great because it makes our job a lot easier, where we don't have to like fuss over like, oh my God, did I leave this out, or did I put this, or did I put that? And at first it is a little bit more challenging, especially if you're somebody that likes to write lists like I do. I love being specific about things, and it's like a grocery list, but it gets caught up in our energy. It doesn't need to be like that. But instead, it's good for you to focus on the feeling behind achieving or receiving those goals and desires. So focus on how you want it to make you feel for any of the types. Think about your signature theme. Generators, satisfaction, excitement; projectors, success, recognition; reflectors, recognition, delight, surprise; manifestors, peace. How would the situation or the goal you want bring you that desired feeling? And focusing on that and having a general idea of what you want is enough. And a couple non-negotiables. You can have a few things that you're like, I want this and this for sure, but everything else, whatever. But yeah, you can release any pressure to come up with a detailed plan or roadmap of how you need to get there, what you need to do, how you need to do it, when you need to do it, why you need to do it. None of that. All right. Your job is very simple. A general idea of what you want, couple non-negotiables, things that you definitely want to have in that. Let the rest be surprise you. Let it come to you. But as long as you have a general concept, that is more than enough that you need. Okay. So that's for the arrows, you guys. Let me know if you have questions about those, or if you want any, or you need any more specific examples about certain things, clarity. Let me know, and we're going to keep it trucking. We're almost done with the workshop. I will see y'all soon.